Hi guys, I'm EVM and welcome to sunny Scottish Highlands. I thought it doesn't really matter where I go, it always rains, whether it's down south, at home or here. So I thought I'd come somewhere very pretty to do this particular video, even though the location hasn't got that much to do with it. I am here for a reason. But first I want to talk about the whole point of this video, and that's what is effectively starting to do my head in now. And it's basically mainstream media and how they portray what it's like to live with an EV to people that are interested. They're basically putting out crap information on what it's actually like to live with an EV, on what it's like charging and doing long journeys, that sort of stuff. But it's not just mainstream media, it's now big YouTube channels which are doing the same thing. So we're talking ones with millions of subscribers basically, that have got massive car enthusiasts or even proper journalists doing videos from them on either a daily or weekly basis. They're putting out information which, when I watch them, and I am, because some of them are really good channels, I'm just thinking, that's not even close to the truth. It's wrong. But ultimately, there's so much crap information out there about EVs, it's genuinely putting people off who are watching these videos and thinking, well, oh God, if that's the case, 2 hours to charge a car up on a rapid charge, I don't think so. It just grates me. So I thought I'd do this mini rant video and just try and explain to people what it's actually like when it comes to charging EVs, to refuel your EV. In fact, I will say that if you own an EV and you can charge at home, and I'll come to that in a second, then it's more convenient to own an EV when it comes to refueling than it is a petrol engine car. Now let me put a little bit of a caveat before I go any further on that one, because this video is kind of aimed at those that can charge at home, like myself. If you can't charge at home, then it's substantially more inconvenient at best to own an EV. There are parts of the country, don't get me wrong, there are parts of the country where it's actually quite easy because the charging infrastructure is everywhere and every corner has something to charge off. It's easy to do. In fact, I could probably own one now if I didn't charge at home, because there are loads of chargers near me. A year ago, I had to travel 19 miles in any direction to get a rapid charger, a 38-mile round trip. Now, just like I said, 12 months later, I've got about 7 within a few miles of my house and many more en route to work and back and various other places. So, although it is changing, at the moment, if you can't charge at home, it is kind of difficult to own an EV. So that's the caveat I'd like to put in place before I start going on about stuff in this video, because it's very much aimed at those that can charge at home. And as I said before, if you can charge at home, it will be more convenient for you to own an electric vehicle. Partially why I'm in Scotland in the middle of nowhere in the Highlands right now. I'll come to that in a second though, because first I want to kind of get across why it's different to own an EV to a petrol car. It's more of a culture change than anything else. There's no technical information needed. It's just how you do stuff. It's very difficult to get across. Think of it this way. If you've got a mobile phone, which has a battery life of a day in this hand. Let's imagine I've got a mobile phone. This is 1 day battery life phone. This phone, however, it'd be nice if I'd actually got a couple of props there, wouldn't it? This phone, however, lasts a week on its battery. So this does a day, this lasts a week. Which would you choose? You'd clearly choose the one that lasts a week. But what if I told you that the phone that lasts only a day can charge at home, at your house, but the phone that lasts a week, that has to be charged at the phone shop or petrol station? So you can see where I'm going here. That's effectively what owning an EV is like if you can charge at home. Yes, you'll get worse battery life or range, but you charge at home. Whereas this one, you get really good battery life, but you have to go to the shop to charge. I know which I would go for if that was the case with mobile phones. I'd go for the one that lasts a day that I can charge at my bedside table. Let me give you another example that kind of highlights what I'm trying to get across. And I'm not saying EVs are for everything, for everyone, rather. I have no agenda in this. I am a car fan. Petrol, electric, I don't care. I love cars. The only reason I don't have normal cars in this channel is because there are a billion other channels already doing it. So again, I have no agenda to push it. I couldn't care less if you buy an EV or not. But the other example I was going to give you is why I'm here now, basically, the Scottish Highlands. We are in effectively the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're talking about 13 miles in that direction to the nearest petrol station, about 28 miles in that direction for the nearest charger. And you think, well, I won't want to own an EV now. Well, yes, actually, it's a lot more convenient right now with an EV than it would be when we brought our petrol engine here a few years ago. Because if we were in a petrol engine car right now, we would probably say, right, we probably do maybe 80 to 120 miles a day, you know, on trips out and visiting waterfalls and big hills and things like that you do in the Highlands. So we would have to plan to go past that petrol station either on the way in to this accommodation or the way out, or, well, when we're visiting that waterfall or hill, we'll go via the petrol station and fill up. You would have to kind of plan it around. It wouldn't be a major disaster, and people have done it for decades. It's not a problem. Whereas, as it stands now with our EV that we've got here, we wake up every morning with a full battery, because you've got something called a plug socket in every single building in this entire country. Everywhere is a charge point, and that is another point which is very well worth making, because, like I said, we just plug it into this house where we're staying, and we've got a full battery. And then we go away, come back, plug it in, overnight, again, full battery. I don't have to visit anywhere. It costs me about a third of the cost in fuel, probably less, in fact. So yes, all round it's more convenient. God, it's really throwing it down now. I'm going to stick with it. Come on, come on. Beautiful scenery, beautiful scenery. Now let me tell you about the journey up here, because EVs aren't more convenient in all things, clearly. We started off from home. Effectively, we were doing 300 and odd miles. So it's a good journey. And on the roads that we were coming up, which is a lot of motorways and things like this, I reckon you're looking at 7 to 8 hours in a normal car. In an EV, that would be longer, because we will have to charge, I think it was at least twice. We have to stop. So this is part of the culture change I'm trying to get across to people here. What we did is basically make the journey part of the holiday. So we set off, we did about an hour and a half's worth of driving, and we stopped off at this beautiful waterfall here before the sun disappeared for good. And that was good. We had a nice walk around, we had an ice cream, and just happened to be a charger there. We would have gone there either way, I promise. We didn't stop because there was a charger there. We stopped there because we just wanted to look around and make it part of the journey, as I said. So that gave us another 20, 30 miles of charge, which was a bit of a bonus. But it was part of the holiday. So we stopped there, mini charge. We then carried on, did a good 150, 60 miles more, stopped off at services and got something to eat. I had a really nice roast dinner. So we then carried on the journey. Went to another place that had a charger, and effectively I had one of these, which was brilliant. It was beautiful. French toast with fruit compo, chantilly cream and crispy bacon. After that, we carried on to where we are now, effectively. So that was the journey, and it probably took a good, well, we'd have had to stop with the petrol car to eat anyway and stuff, so that wouldn't have changed much. But I reckon it's about another hour and a half to bring the EV here instead of the petrol engine. Now, what typically people concentrate on is time. And again, this is about the culture change I'm trying to get across. I don't want to spend another 1.5 hours on the journey, they will say. I want to get where I'm going. But as I said, in this circumstance, we made it part of the journey. We had fun, we had something to eat, I had an awesome pudding. And yeah, it took us longer, but I arrived far fresher. I spend less time fueling my EV at home than you do your petrol car. Yes, it only takes 5, maybe 10 minutes once you include payment to fill up a petrol car for another 400 or 500 miles. Even if I charge mine every single night, which I don't by any stretch of the imagination, but even if I did, all I do is pick up the charge point and plug it into the car. 10, maybe 15 seconds, and then another 10, 15 seconds in reverse, unplugging it in the morning. So again, even if I did charge it every night, which I absolutely don't, I'm wasting 30 seconds a day fueling my car, because I'm not stood there putting petrol in. You only have to do it once a week, on average, and it only takes 5 or 10 minutes, assuming you don't have to do a detour to get to the petrol station, of course. But ultimately, it's more convenient because I just drive home from work. The car is charging or refueling when I'm getting on with my life, when I'm sleeping at night, when I'm having tea. You change how you operate, not to make it more inconvenient to own an EV, but just it's how it is. Going to a petrol station isn't convenient. You end up with stinky hands and sometimes queuing. I've queued at a petrol station for 20 minutes before. Don't happen often, granted, but you get my point. People are so used to refueling with petrol that it's part of normal life, it's okay. Well, actually, no, if you look at it, it's actually inconvenient to go to a petrol station. They're not exactly places you would visit if you didn't have to, would you? Now again, some people on the long journey I've just mentioned will say, well, I'd prefer to get there earlier and do more when I'm there. So that's where the compromise is. That's where the change of culture that I'm talking about comes into play. Some people will say, no, I don't want that. Even a really cool journey where you're stopping off at nice places and having nice things to eat or seeing nice things, I'm not interested. I just want to get there. Maybe an EV's not for you just yet. 5 years from now, maybe 10, when you have, I don't know, 300, 400 mile range EVs at an acceptable price and you can recharge them in 5, 10, 15 minutes, who knows what. It will get there, 10, 20, who knows how many years. It will get to that stage where we effectively have a petrol station model of charging up at such a speed, it's not really a problem. But for now, in 2020, there's the compromise. I am not saying at all that EVs are perfect for everyone. I'm not saying that you will not lose some convenience in life. I find it more convenient at home, but maybe less convenient on a long trip. It balances itself out. It's all right, these big channels or TV saying, oh no, you can't find a charger. You can. I mean, for God's sake, you just open an app up and it tells you where the nearest chargers are. Or if you're really stuck, you use a plug socket. That might not be convenient for everyone. And that's where we're at the moment. We're at that early-ish adopter stage. To use a smartphone analogy again, we're kind of at the iPhone 3G stage. They're getting good, they're getting usable, but still not for everyone. And now look where we are. 10 years later-ish, everyone has a smartphone. They cost 50 quid each and they can stream HD video with no problems, and what a difference it makes, 10 years. So who knows where we'll be 10 years from now in EV terms. It's all about just getting used to something different rather than something that's worse. TV and big YouTube channels haven't experienced what it's like to do a long journey with a family or with, or not, whatever. So they just assume something. They look at a stat sheet and go, well, it takes 45 minutes to go from, 10, 20% to 80, 90%. So, well, who wants to stay 45 minutes? Well, most of the time you don't have to. If I'm on a long journey of, say, 250 miles, that means I'm going to have to charge at least once because my car will do maybe 200 miles on a charge. I won't sit there and get it back up to full charge on a charger. I will only give it enough to get me to where I'm going, assuming I can charge at the destination, of course, which means a 10-minute stop, a 15-minute stop. Sometimes it will be 45 minutes, but most of the time it's not. So effectively what they're doing is picking the worst case scenario in EV land and going, that's what it's like. Why would so many people who get an EV say, these are the best things I've had for years. I love it. It's great. I guess there is a bit of that, what do I say? How do I put this gently without insulting somebody? Do you know, like people have a certain view of a vegetarian or a vegan? Like they're all, trying to make people like them. It's kind of a joke, and please don't think this is insulting, but we've all heard this. How do you know if someone's a vegan? They'll tell you within 5 minutes of meeting them, just like being a Yorkshireman. There's a bit of a popular culture myth, for the most part, about vegetarians or vegans trying to make everybody like them. And that's what EV owners kind of have as well. The amount of people that tell me that I'm an eco-nerd because I own an electric vehicle, when in fact, you know what? Although I am fully for the environment, I will do what I can as much as the next man. I'm selfish. I have a petrol car as well. I eat meat. I do things that aren't good for the environment, just like somebody that owns an electric vehicle. And I imagine it's the same with the vegetarian and vegan argument. It's like, well, no, I'm just a vegan because I want to be a vegan. I'm not trying to make you become one. But if you want to talk about it, I'll tell you what to do, how to make it good, what to eat, to make it easier for you. And this is the same sort of thing. There is that, as I said, popular culture thing about EV owners being idiots that stand outside in the rain just to tell you about them. And before anybody says anything, this is absolutely not filmed in the Scottish Island for any tax purposes to claim most of this back under the YouTube account. That is not what I'm doing here at all. I'm doing it because of this beautiful backdrop. Again, I have no agenda. You can buy what you like. Some people are watching this and still, nah, I'm not convinced about EVs. All I will say to you, if you can, from a dealer or a friend, if you're willing, or even the, what's it called, the EV Experience Centre in Milton Keynes, if you're nearby, try and get an EV for a week. 2 would be brilliant, but that's a bit of a stretch. Try and get one and just live with it for a bit. You're going to have to use a 3-pin plug because you're not going to have a charger at home, but you will see what it's like. You will go to work, you will come back from work, and you will plug in like you do a mobile phone, and you think, well, this is easy. And quite frankly, this is 85% of my life in a car. Just going to work and back, going to shops and back, picking the kids up. Now, yes, there are other things I haven't mentioned in this video, which is for another discussion, like price and all that sort of stuff. It's not just a case of go out and buy an EV because they're more convenient. There are other factors in play here. But at the moment, roughly half of the UK has off-road parking, as in where you could charge the car as well. Very roughly speaking, anyway. And I think it's 1 or 2% of all cars on the road are full electric. I'm not classing hybrids in this, by the way. So there are millions of people, of households out there that could own a full electric vehicle and afford one, all that choose not to because of crap information. That's what I'm trying to change. Try and watch the videos that I've done over the last 5 years of driving electric vehicles in the channel. Just click on my channel name and you'll see all the videos there. I've pretty much covered everything at some point over the years. So yes, before I get completely and utterly drenched, I'm going to sign off now and enjoy this beautiful scenery. I mean, yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm managing to own an electric vehicle with absolutely no issues at all. It's not even my house and it's no problem at all. Let me know your experiences with EVs if you own one. Have you borrowed one for a week or two and then it's kind of twigged? Have you borrowed one and you thought, yeah, I just can't get along with this? Is the infrastructure near you the reason you're not getting one if you can't charge at home? It's definitely fair to say that it's not reasonable for some people to own an electric vehicle, my parents included. I mean, they live in a flat, a ground floor flat, they have off-road parking, but they can't charge at home because it's over there from where the flat is. You know, it's not next to the building, so it's just not a possibility for them. They could use the charging infrastructure, but the charging infrastructure for them is effectively just one fast charger. That's the equivalent charger that you have at your house, not a rapid charger that you see in the services. One fast charger for the entire town. And we're talking tens of thousands of people that live there. That is just completely impractical, implausible, and nobody could possibly think, well, they could own one if they want, which I hear a lot. EV owners can be arseholes as well. But ultimately, the only way they could own one is if they took a chance on then always using that charger and no one using it whilst they wanted to do it. It always working. Can't guarantee that one, can you? So ultimately, it's not possible for them. They can't rely on the charging network. They can't charge at home. So therefore, it doesn't matter how convenient or not I tell them it is. It's not going to happen until that changes. So yeah, there are many reasons still in existence that people can't get EVs, but they are steadily dropping off. For now though, I do hope that mainstream media will get a little bit better at reporting things. Right, thank you for watching guys, please do subscribe, it does help channels like mine, and well, I'll see you later. Oh, come on!